and historic and famous sports prize, Hockey Stanley Cup.
New York, after 54 years, your long wait is over.
It's over! The Detroit Red Wings win the Stanley Cup!
Representing the pride and skill that is synonymous with the National Hockey League. After more than 700 grinding, exhaustive struggles, after a regular season so tight that on the final day, 9 of the top 10 teams did not know in what order they would finish. After a red-hot preliminary round of upsets and excitement, 8 teams remain, ready to respond to the pressure that surrounds the quest for the Stanley Cup. Fighting the frustration of injuries and a second-place overall finish, Montreal's defending Cup champions appear vulnerable. For the Canadiens, the 1979 Stanley Cup playoffs will be the test of a champion. The National Hockey League presents the 1979 Stanley Cup playoffs. For a phenomenal 39th time in 42 years, the Montreal Canadiens are in the Stanley Cup playoffs, this time against the rugged Toronto Maple Leafs, the initial roadblock in their defense of the Cup. Sparked by Mike Palmateer's hot goaltending and fresh from a convincing upset of the Atlanta Flames, the Maple Leafs twice extend Montreal into sudden death overtime. But for the second straight year, the Canadiens eliminate their longtime rivals in 4, taking a first step towards that long, grinding road of winning their 22nd Stanley Cup. Pittsburgh fans turn out in record numbers to watch last year's finalists, the burly Boston Bruins, face the new-look Penguins. The Pens have proven they belong in this year's playoff picture after a stunning series victory over Buffalo. Goalie Dennis Herron playing brilliantly in the nets. Pittsburgh is on the go with a bevy of fresh faces. Players like former Canadian Pete Mahovlich and ex-Flyer Tom Bladen. In the end, however, the Bruins' experience pays off as they dominate the Penguins in 4 straight games and gear up for a dramatic rematch with Montreal. The Philadelphia Flyers face their old coach, Fred Shero, whose New York Rangers are underdogs in these playoffs. Under Shero, the Flyers have been in the semifinals or better the past 6 years. But this time, it would be only Fred or Philadelphia to make it 7 in a row. Much of the praise has to be given to the hot goaltender, John Davidson, who put a muzzle on Philadelphia's firepower. After an opening overtime loss, the Rangers storm back with 4 straight wins, and in the process, set an NHL record of 28 goals in a 5-game series. It is this awesome display that catapults the Rangers into the semifinals for the first time in 5 years. For the 10th straight year, the Chicago Blackhawks make it to the Stanley Cup playoffs, this time trying to dent the armor of the regular season champ New York Islanders, who had ended Montreal's long reign as number 1. The Blackhawks weren't able to do this very often, as goaltenders Chico Resch and Billy Smith record a shutout apiece while holding Chicago to just 3 goals during the entire series. The Hawks' Tony Esposito is a pillar of strength against the Islander big guns, but he cannot quiet the hot sticks of Mike Bossy and Brian Trottier forever. And the Islanders sweep Chicago in a 4-game series. Next, the Islanders brace themselves for a real tug-of-war with their crosstown foes, the New York Rangers. This semifinal series has the hockey world buzzing, for the thought lingers that these revitalized Rangers could indeed pull off another upset. For it to happen, John Davidson must remain superhuman. A spectacular stalwart in the nets, Davidson's goals against average at this point is the best playoff mark in 10 years, while hockey great Phil Esposito's inspirational play leads his team to easy victory on the island. With the score tied in Game 2, the contest moves into overtime and remains deadlocked until the league's outstanding defenseman, Dennis Potvin, ends the duel and ties the series. Even though the Islanders were fully extended just to split on home ice, their fans remain confident, refusing to nurture any Ranger pipe dreams. The Ranger crowd, rejecting the thought that the Islanders were the best team in season play, root their heroes to victory in Game 3. But the Isles stunned the Garden crowd with another dramatic overtime triumph in Game 4. The Cinderella Rangers have been the underdog since the playoffs started, and they thrive in that role. Digging deep within, they outskate and outwork the Islanders in Games 5 and 6, capturing the series and giving Manhattan Stanley Cup fever. As the red light shakes with an uncontrolled excitement, the Rangers await the outcome of the Boston-Montreal showdown. All-out effort was the style here, but for the first time in 3 years, the Bruins and Canadiens collide in the semifinals instead of the championship round. Montreal has always been a high-scoring team and especially successful on home ice against Boston. The Habs take the first 2 games of the series, but the Bruins weren't about to concede. For Boston, the classic matchup shifts to friendlier surroundings, and Gilles Gilbert is inserted in goal for the first time in playoff action since 1976. He responds like a stone wall. This was to be Don Cherry's last Stanley Cup try behind a Bruins bench, and his motivation provides the spark Boston requires to win the next 2 games. With the series deadlocked at 2 apiece, the Canadiens easily take Game 5 for their 14th straight Forum success over Boston. But the Bruins claw their way to victory in the next contest, and a crucial 7th game in Montreal will decide which team will meet the Rangers. The millions who view the game on television see one of the greatest battles ever waged. With only 2.5 minutes left and Boston leading 4-3, the Bruins are penalized for too many men on the ice. The Habs have a man advantage when, with a minute remaining, Guy Lafleur takes a drop pass from Jacques Lemaire and rifles it home. Montreal is being tested to the utmost, but they refuse to give up. Then, 9 minutes and 33 seconds into overtime, Yvon Lambert puts the Flying Frenchman into the Stanley Cup Finals once again. These Canadiens had weathered a tough test, but the important thing is that they are still climbing the stairs towards their 4th consecutive Stanley Cup. For the past 3 years, Montreal has captured the Cup, and despite the fact the extraordinary Rangers had won their last 3 meetings on Forum ice during the regular season, New York blue liner Carol Vadnais says his team is just happy to be here.
We believe in ourselves, and we had a lot of talents, but to come this far, you know, it's amazing. But I mean, you know, we're here. We might as well do the best of it.
From the outset, these upstarts from Manhattan take the play right to the Canadiens, pushing players off the puck. Montreal excels at clearing the puck out of its own end, yet on this day, the usual brilliance of all-star defenseman Larry Robinson fizzles early as he misguides a pass to the waiting Anders Hedberg. The Swedish star beats Steve Vickers in the crease for one of his patented tip-ins. Up to now, the Forum fans had only been treated to rumors about these miracle kids from Manhattan. But as these 17,000 supporters quickly learn, the Rangers came to win. New York's Freddie Shero nervously paces behind the bench, for he knows there is still a lot of hockey to play. But again, Montreal makes a bad clearing pass, and this time, Ron Greschner beats Ken Dryden to the short side. The Rangers take a 2-0 lead and appear well on their way to winning their 4th straight game at the Forum. Still, as is the true mettle of a proud championship club, Montreal fights back, but the puck refuses to cooperate. and the small signs of frustration begin to set in. Seriously injured during the Boston semifinals, Guy Lapointe watches his defense mates sorely struggle from overwork. With Montreal trailing 2-1, Robinson again commits the unpardonable, a blind pass, and Phil Esposito, at age 35, the grand old man of the series, breaks the Canadiens' back. The stinging setback would later prompt Robinson to call this game the most frustrating of his career. Espo's 57th career playoff goal made the score 3-1, and a Dave Maloney strike soon after upped it to 4-1. In the third period, Canadiens coach Scotty Bowman pulled Dryden from the net for the first time in 108 Montreal playoff games and inserted Bunny Larocque. As the Canadiens jockeyed netminders, the Rangers stayed with the man who had gotten them there, John Davidson. Hurt most of the regular season, J.D. had been a mighty fortress during the playoffs, losing only 3 overtime games. This win had to be the finest, for it finally gave credence to what everyone had only whispered. The Rangers were for real. They were expected to go nowhere, but they had overthrown the Los Angeles Kings, shot down the Flyers, and sank the Islanders. Under Fred Shero, they had engineered a true coup, handing the Stanley Cup champions a convincing defeat on Forum ice. Reporters crowded around Shero to find out the Rangers' secret.
Well, they've been well coached.
Appearing to have taken the Rangers too lightly in Game 1, the Habs got serious in practice the next day in an effort to iron out some of their mistakes.
Well, we were certainly guilty of turning over the puck at some inopportune moments. Our head was down a few times, and we made some blind passes. And when you make mistakes like that, it's pretty hard to win hockey games. And I think we could have been given assists on the first 3 goals. The passes were that crisp to the opposition.
The Rangers were hard workers, but they also enjoyed having some fun.
We're available anytime, anywhere. Here we are.
Fun was the furthest thing from Ken Dryden's mind as he watched Bunny Larocque, the scheduled starting goaltender, leave the ice with a head injury sustained in the pregame warm-up. Dryden once again was between the pipes, but knowing he had been heckled by Forum fans during the opening loss, the pressure had to be almost unbearable. And things built to a quick head in the early moments as Anders Hedberg took a pass, rolled right, and like a quarterback throwing against the flow, fired an extremely difficult snapshot, fooling Dryden. The Rangers seemed to be continuing where they had left off the other night. A look of concern was on everyone's face, and it culminated with another horrendous clearing pass right onto the stick of Ron Duguay. The score was now 2-0, and a stunned Montreal audience had to be thinking the Canadiens' 3-year Stanley Cup reign was nearing its end. Scotty Bowman tried to shake his players from their doldrums, and the partisan crowd made one more attempt at arousing their team.
Hit him!
It worked. The Habs began to outskate and out-hit their opponents, and finally, they broke their scoring famine with a deflection off Yvon Lambert's leg. Lambert had been in the right place, and as often happens, good fortune proved a helpful sire. At last, there was something to cheer about, especially when Guy Lafleur tied the game on a rebound. And Bob Gainey, the Canadiens' Mr. Versatility, put in the go-ahead goal.
Our defenseman had the puck. We made a pass to the wing. Doug Jarvis moved the puck to me in the middle. I was between both their defensemen. I didn't really go as far to the net as I could have. You know, I had a wrist shot in mind, and I had a quick shot.
With newfound energies, Montreal took command of the game. Their unmerciful bombardment continued for 3 more goals, ending with a picture pass from Gainey onto the stick of young Mark Napier. Just 2 periods ago, the Rangers were looking to blow the Canadians out of the rink, but they had forgotten the fierce pride they were up against.
I think after we'd scored the first goal, maybe we were thinking, well, that's it. We have Montreal on the run, but we forgot to realize that they were champions, and they've been champions for 3 years, and you really have to have a little more than 10 minutes to beat them.
The 6-2 victory evened the series, and once again, Montreal was playing like Les Canadiens. But all the cheering in Madison Square Garden falls on deaf ears as the Rangers are totally outmanned and outmaneuvered by the Canadian squad determined to regain their home ice advantage. Seemingly taking the puck around the net, Jacques Lemaire surprises the Rangers with a cagey backhand pass to a waiting Steve Shutt. Montreal never looks back. The Habs an insurmountable lead and puts them 1 game up in the race for the cup. As one onlooker commented, Montreal was so devastating tonight, the only way to stop them would have been to take the net away.
Right in, shoot it!
Back to Rice, Bravo Lambert, shoots and he fires wide.
As soon as we get a goal, I'm going to jump over there. Will you watch out?
There's only one team, and that's the Rangers.
With the Garden Fanatics prime, Game 4 began the Rangers' way as Pat Hickey sent a misguided centering pass off Ken Dryden's leg. Faced with coming from behind for the 3rd time in 4 games, Scotty Bowman sent Gainey onto the ice to restore the Canadians' physical edge. Gainey continued working his masterful magic by scrambling for a poor clearing pass from goalie John Davidson and redirecting it to Régin Houle in front of the net. The goal gave the Canadians a 1-1 tie on a blunder Davidson never should have committed. Still, unable to break the other, both teams traded yet another score, upping the count to 2 apiece. In the second period, several Rangers tested Ken Dryden, but he was unbeatable.
Here they come, Dryden! Here they come! Shoot it! Shoot it!
To his body.
Yeah!
Likewise, John Davidson remained strong, turning back apparent half goals. Even Guy Lafleur, the most formidable shooter in hockey, bombarded Davidson with an incredible 11 shots on goal. But 11 times, J.D. disappointed him. This is the pivotal game of the series, and it's a strenuous struggle. Then, for the 3rd time in the contest, New York jumped in front on a scoring drive from Phil Esposito. The goal placed Espo 4th in front of Bobby Hull in the all-time Stanley Cup points. The Rangers' 1-goal lead was brief, and 2 minutes later, Bob Gainey evened the score, allowing New York's 22-year-old captain Dave Maloney some 20/20 hindsight.
And I saw the big fella coming on the right side, and I knew the type of game that he does play, and I knew I had to meet him head on. But I proceeded to get knocked on my keister by a very strong hockey player. I went in there with a very open mind trying to get the puck out and save the play, but, he ended up going in the net.
For an amazing 3rd time, the score was deadlocked. It seemed that when the Rangers managed a goal, Montreal automatically followed suit. The copycat act ended, for sudden death overtime would now declare a winner. The Canadians came out strong during the extra session, pressing the play. After 6 minutes, Larry Robinson sent a black dart rocketing into the New York net, but the goal judge didn't turn on the light, though the net moved. Even Davidson turned around to see why the light wasn't on, but no trace of red. Incensed by the call, Montreal came storming back. Only a minute later, Serge Savard picked up the loose puck from Guy Lafleur and whipped in a backhander for the winner. It had been an arduous test of strong wills, but the brilliant John Davidson was the first to admit he had been fooled.
Well, Savard picked up the puck very quickly inside of our blue line, and I looked out the right side of my eye, and it was a 2-on-1. And I thought that since it was a defenseman, he'd more or less passed the puck. And Savard caught me leaning the wrong way, and he fired up over my shoulder with a wicked backhand, and that was the end of the game.
The 4-3 victory margin gave the Canadians a 3-1 stranglehold on the series and caused Ranger players to wonder if mere sticks would stop the awesome Canadians. The Rangers made a battle of it, but the Canadians always got in the last word. Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau watches intently as Régent Houle sets up Rick Chartrand, and Montreal draws first blood. The Rangers were winded, but still managed a goal. It would be the only high point of the night, since most of the action they viewed from a lower vantage point. Then, after leading 2-1 on a Lemaire bullet from the blue line, Bob Gainey punched in yet another goal, his 6th of the playoffs. The 3-1 tally left Forum fans itching for their 10th Stanley Cup championship in 15 years. New York had given it everything in the first period, and now rapidly approached exhaustion. Any remaining questions pertaining to the outcome were answered when Jacques Lemaire struck the final blow. Montreal fans were witnessing their first Cup championship on home ice since 1968. It was their 4th Cup in a row, and only one team had won it 5 times in succession, Les Canadiens. As the line for the traditional handshake formed, John Davidson and his Ranger teammates had to be proud of their accomplishments. New York had come closer than all but one team, but they would have to wait to drink from the cup. Montreal will face challengers again next year, but for now, the pride that drives champions had shown itself once again. The hard work of Bob Gainey had paid off. He was awarded the Conn Smythe Trophy as the most valuable player of the 1979 Stanley Cup playoffs, his relentless skating and checking setting the pattern of the series. As the Stanley Cup was paraded in front of the hometown loyalists, a final tribute was paid to these supreme athletes. They had performed with the excellence few teams can achieve, but one which the world has come to expect. The Montreal Canadiens had again survived the test of a champion.